Okay guys, welcome back. In my last video, I talked about how I was going to go over a stock that's a little bit more of a spec play per se. And it's not like Berkshire Hathaway or Facebook where it's a value play. That's very different. This stock is in a particular industry where I think is getting a lot of traction and a lot of attention. And I really think that this stock in particular can do really great things if a couple of things happen here. And if you like this video, please like the video. Also subscribe to the channel. We're going to have some more videos like this and I'm really excited to go over this stock. Anyway, the stock we're going to be talking about is Planet 13. And this stock does trade on the OTC, so it is a little bit more of a spec play because I have talked about the OTC in past videos and how they can be a little skeptical. But anyway, I really like this stock and I'm going to go over why and kind of my thought process behind it in this video. But first, let's go over Planet 13 and what it is first, because it's not a stock like Facebook where obviously I think almost everyone on the planet has heard of Facebook. And even if you don't know the whole business model behind Facebook and what they own, you know the social media platform Facebook. So Planet 13 is actually a cannabis company which is based out of Nevada, and it's actually right on the Vegas Strip, or I believe it's right next to the Vegas Strip. But a little side note here, this company is more than just a dispensary per se. You can get food there, you can get coffee, drinks. There's more to it than just the dispensary and the cannabis itself. And obviously in Nevada, cannabis is illegal both medically and recreationally. So this is going to do better than another place that might not have these legalizations or regulations in place. In 2019, Planet 13 did just under 10%, I believe it was 9% of all cannabis transactions in the state of Nevada. And like I just said, it is located on the Strip, so I think it's a great spot because I think it's going to drive a lot of traffic, and I think a lot of people come in and out of Vegas. A lot of people are going to learn about Planet 13, they're going to be like, oh, what's that, Planet 13? And they're going to go and see it and check it out, and I think it's just going to be great for traffic as this company expands, and we're going to get into how they're going to expand very shortly. As for the income statement, it is tougher to find a better income statement in terms of ratio. Obviously, you can find companies that are more profitable and bring in more income, but in terms of ratio, this is a really good ratio we have here. And on top of that, the insider ownership is over 60%, which I really like, and I think it's really awesome because it means these guys that we're going to get into a little bit soon, that they're back in the company, like they're behind it full force. But as I said before, I do like this stock for a couple of different reasons we're going to go over. And it's not because of the balance sheet, it's not because of the income statement, it doesn't really have anything to do with any of the financials at all. And that's because this is more of a spec stock, it's not a value stock. When you look at a value stock, obviously a good balance sheet is very important. But when you look at a spec stock, you want to look at more of the story, more of what it can be. Like kind of not throw the financials out the window, but put them kind of sort of secondary to the whole business model itself, because that's the important thing, the business model. So now let's look at the objectives that Planet 13 has set for themselves in 2020. And granted, these were made before the virus took over, so maybe they've adjusted a little bit, but this is what they had in mind to start. So they want to stay in that range or that percentage of total cannabis sales in Nevada, which I think that's a great start until they continue to expand. They want to look into increasing their margins. Obviously, increasing margins is always a good thing. They want to focus on other parts of the business, and this is mainly the entertainment complex. And I really like this because, say, cannabis isn't your thing, MJ is just not something that you really partake in. You can go to this entertainment complex with your friends, and if they're interested in it, then okay. But if not, you can still get drinks here. And like I talked about earlier, drinks and food. So you can still partake in it and have fun there as well. But the last objective, and this is the one I kind of want to talk a little bit about, is the delivery of business and services. So at the end of 2019, they had 29 vehicles up and running. Because this presentation, these pictures you're seeing, this is actually from the 2019 investor presentation. And they had to scale this objective basically overnight because once everything shut down, because the Strip was shut down in Vegas as well as the rest of the country and the world, I guess you could say. And this is important to me that they adapted to this so well, and I really give a lot of props to the management team, which we're going to talk about shortly. Since they did adapt to this very quickly, it does give me a lot of faith in this company. And that's mainly because they get a lot of traffic from the Strip, a lot. And if this company was ever going to go under, I would think that this would be the time. Everything's closed, no one's coming over from the Strip, no one's coming in from any part of the country, any part of the world to go to Vegas. So there's nothing coming in. And this company was still able to adapt and do well during this time. So those are the objectives for 2020 that were set initially. Now let's look at their 5-year objectives. Over the next 5 years, they want to have 8+ superstores. And they're saying if a city can support a major sports team, then Planet 13 is interested in having a dispensary, a complex in that city. So this is just in Vegas right now, but it could expand to LA, could expand to DC, it could expand to Boston. They could start opening up locations all over the country, which would really start to drive a lot of traffic. And on top of that, this just has to do with cannabis itself. I do expect it to become federally legal in the coming future. I don't know if it's going to be the next couple of years, but I don't think it's 10 years off. I think there's a lot of good that it can do. It creates a lot of jobs. Obviously, with the taxes, that's going to help out the United States. It's just a win-win all around, I feel like, and I do see it coming in the very near future. Could be 2 years, could be 3 or 4, but I think it's not too far off. And I do think a lot of people would agree with me on that, just the way it's been going and the conversations that have been had about it. I just don't see it staying at the current levels, at the current situation it is now forever. But this is also one of the risks for the stock as well, which is why it's more of a speculative play. So I think that MJ is going to be legalized federally. I'm sure Johnny thinks that, and multiple people think that, many people think that rather, but we don't know that for a fact because we're not involved in that process at all. So if it doesn't get legalized federally, it's going to take longer for this company to expand, and it might not expand as quickly as I see it expanding if it's not legalized federally. But there's no doubting there's definitely a lot of room in this space to grow, and if you look at the projections for sales growth in 2021, then yeah, you're looking at over 100% growth. I think this could be a good play if all goes according to plan in my mind. But anyway, I like the goals of this company. I think the objectives they've set are spot on. I think they can really blow this up. But let's also look at the management team in this company, because I didn't talk about that in the Berkshire Hathaway video or the Facebook video, but I think this is important to talk about here. So we're going to talk about the co-CEOs of this company. First, we have Rob. He's a former mayor and he was in the law field for 25 years. Now that law background is important because this is a touchy field for a lot of reasons, and there are a lot of regulations that come into play. And I just think this is a good position for him to be in. It's a good position for the company because there are going to be state regulations, government regulations, et cetera, et cetera. And just having that law background, he's going to know how to go about it. As for the other CEO, we have Larry. He also has a government background and he's also a former city councilor. And on top of that, he manages the director of real estate companies which own over 1,000 acres. And obviously in this industry, you're going to need a lot of space for a lot of different reasons, just growing product. And I think being able to get that space and manage it is very important here. Now, on top of these guys having a good background for this industry and something that's set up well for it, they also just had that really big deal that went through. This deal meaning the $3.3 million deal with RX Land that's going to allow up to 25,000 square feet of room for growing product immediately. Now, keep in mind, I could keep going on this stock for a while. I didn't even touch about any of their products or the growth of their products because I think that's something you need to look into if you're considering buying this stock, because I'm not a financial advisor and that's just not my job to tell you what to buy and what not to buy. In saying that, that is going to be the end of this video. I am interested to see where Planet 13 goes in the future, as well as the MJ space in general. Comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.